On this episode of Purposely Curious, I sit down with Leone D'Antonio to discuss our experiences in the ever-evolving world of dating. Ever have a date go terribly wrong? Do you prefer app-geared dating or meeting someone the old-fashioned way? Get nice and cozy and join us as we swipe right as this episode starts now. Hello, Leone.
Hey, Mary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, enjoying this summer-like weather. How about yourself? How's everything?
Good. Yeah, it's been kind of warm lately, which, for work, we have to wear a mask. So in that sense, I love the weather, but I hate it because I took my mask off one of these days. I think I had the N95 on and I could see like sweat on my upper lip.
Oh, yeah.
Like drops. And I was like, ugh, please let this be over soon. Yeah. Like, this is horrible.
I know those feel like, it's like sometimes for certain types of lab work, we'd have to wear them. And then, now we're all wearing them because we have to go shopping at a supermarket or anywhere you go up publicly, you have to wear them. And it's uncomfortable, especially when it's, 93 degrees outside,
Yeah, but in the lab you have AC on, right?
It's cold. Yeah. It's cold as hell in the lab, which is great because, we're wearing so many layers of protective gear that you never complain because it's always cold in the lab, but I love it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked in the OR for a year and they keep the temperature really, really cold. And so it didn't bother me as much, but yeah, last week, towards the end of the week when it was really hot, I was like, damn, this is not the life. Like, I don't remember. It's really weird to be working with a sweaty face.
That's funny.
Anyways, but I guess it's the beginning of summer, so we got to get used to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So on the last episode, I talked about my friend's podcast, and I didn't name her podcast, so I wanted to give them a shout out, and it's called Rollos de Amor. They talk about, different subjects and it's Spanglish. And so I had a few people ask me about it. So I wanted to at least, if you want to listen to them, they're called Rollos de Amor podcast. So please check them out. And then the other thing I wanted to kind of say was my coworker, when we were talking about having like 10 million Marias, she heard where I said that I told her that I'm the original track and she's the remix.
Yeah.
She kind of threw it back at me and was like, well, sometimes the remixes are better than the original tracks. And it hurt because
Ouch.
It's so true. Sometimes, I remember growing up and thinking, damn, the remix is like fire. It's like the shit. Like,
that's where she's like, hey, would you like some aloe vera? Because you just got burned.
Yeah, seriously. I couldn't argue. I was like, yeah, she has a point.
Too funny.
So I wanted to at least give them a quick shout out before we get started, but also wanted to let everyone know that today is April 26th. We record usually on Sundays and I publish later in the week. But today I saw when I was kind of going through Twitter that it was Alien Day, and I didn't understand if it was just regular aliens or what the deal is. And so I asked Leone, and what did you tell me, Leone?
I said, Happy Alien Day. It's April 26th, also known as LV 426, which is a reference to the Alien movie. This is actually, it's an officially recognized and promoted by 20th Century Fox. Well, actually now it's Disney, but still, like, Fox came up with this because they're referencing the original movie, which is 40 years ago, whatever it is, and they celebrate it every year, 426. That day coincides with the ship called the Nostromo that carries the explorers down to the LV-26 planet, and the significance of that is, that they come across a dead body, humanoid, which is huge. Like, it's a big being. Like, he must be like 13 feet tall or something, with a hole in his chest. So something was inside of him, and they show you the scene in the movie. They never make a reference to it again. Like, it just become a, one of those things that all the science fiction nerds got a hold of it. They're like, oh, what does it mean? There's a bigger story there. There's a bigger past. Like, what's the alien, And for many years, they called him the space jockey, like that dead character, right? So fast forward to just a few years ago when the movie Prometheus came out. The opening scene of Prometheus is a really cool scene, the really cool first 5 minutes where, sorry, this is a little spoilery if you haven't seen it, so you might want to just pause here. But if you have seen it, then you understand that you'll see a UFO land on this planet. There's nothing on the planet. There's only rocks and water. Okay, this is important. And 3 alien-like beings that later they're referred to as the engineers, okay, walk to the edge of the cliff where this waterfall is, which was actually filmed at the Dedifoss waterfall in Iceland. And at the edge there, the elderly of the 3 have the younger one drink from this like chalice, and it breaks him apart. Basically, he falls into the waterfall, and then the animation shows his body decomposing in the water into like components of atoms and DNA, and then you see it reforming, the DNA reforming. So what that opening sequence of the movie is showing you is that the engineers seeded life on Earth.
Interesting.
So it's a really fun sequel to the Alien franchises, but it's really a prequel. It's set in the future, but the opening scene's a prequel that shows you how life on Earth got started. So it's part of the whole Alien franchise lore. It's a lot of fun. So every year, 4/26, we celebrate it. Happy Alien Day.
Yeah, happy Alien Day. So I'll always remember that starting today. Because I had no idea. Was it just aliens in general or what? So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I, on this episode, wanted to talk about maybe dating or dating mishaps.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Oh, man. I bet you got some great stories.
I'm sure you do too.
I do. That I do.
So do you remember a time when we used to date in person?
Wow. That's crazy, huh? It's like, you mean when 2 people would get together, like not being 6 feet apart, holding hands, going somewhere, like to a concert, a movie, or a bar?
Sitting in a restaurant, busy.
Feels like so long time ago, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm curious to know if there's people out there that are dating, not so much people that have been dating already, but that are still using the apps to meet people. I wonder if that's gone down, or if people are still out there trying to meet people.
Apparently, I think I read some crazy story. This might have been a couple weeks ago, maybe, that dating apps have been surging because I think people are lonely right now, and they're looking to not necessarily date because we can't, but maybe there's virtual dating going on, but a lot of getting to know each other going on. So I think there's a lot of traffic to those websites, namely like the popular ones, which would be like Match.com or what's the other one where people swipe left and right?
I think that's Tinder. Or there might be quite a few apps that do that now.
Yeah, I'm sure they all do that now because it's so easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I haven't been on any of the apps, although my friends did sign me up to, is it Bagel Meets Coffee? Or is it Coffee Meets
that sounds
Bagel?
like fun though. Bagel meets coffee. It's like hot dog meets mustard.
I think it's Coffee Meets Bagel, and my friend met her husband on it.
Oh shit,
and
no way.
Yeah. So, but I haven't done anything with that. I joined and then I was like, eh. I'm not an app person. I'm sorry. Although I did try Match.com probably like a decade ago, or maybe a little less, before the apps.
How was that experience for you?
Well, I had to sign up via the web browser. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, you had to sit in front of a computer.
I had to sit in front of a computer.
Yeah.
I put in my details and I did the 3-month subscription. But I only used it for a month because I then realized it wasn't my thing to just meet random people like that. Like I like it to just happen naturally, kind of.
Okay.
So I did do it. I'm glad I did it just to kind of see that it's not for me per se. And I think that's why I haven't really been on any of the apps except for that one that I told you to. Other than signing up, I haven't done anything with it.
Right.
It's just not my thing, but I know that's the norm now that everyone loves to use them and heavily rely on them. And there's a lot of success stories that come from them. I know a lot of people who have met online, and so they're married and thriving and having kids, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I think like you said, it's kind of like the new norm, because I think when like you said, you were doing it in the early days of it, so was I, and it was one of those things where you couldn't really tell your coworkers because it was like a weird thing to do, and the only feedback you'd hear from your coworkers and friends is like, "Oh, you don't want to do that. Only weird people are on there." And then I'm like, and then I think back, I'm like, the people that I met were not weird,
Yeah.
They were just more like curious, like I was, because maybe you weren't having exactly all that kind of luck in meeting someone in person,
Yeah.
And so it was a new out, a new like a new way to do things, right? And so it was hard to like look back at your friends and be like, come on, it's not weird, dude. It's just different.
So you never met anyone that was weird. Like, I have a hard time believing that. Really?
No, I have not. Honestly, I have not. I've only tried. I'm trying to think. 2 services, and both times I gotta say, I'm not the type that will meet somebody and be like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" Which is weird, right? But I mean, to me, that's weird. But most of the time, like these are conversations that would go on for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then
Before you meet?
yes, and then it'd be like, "Hey, let's meet for coffee. Let's meet for something." The very old fashioned way of doing things, because now nobody does that. Apparently it's the hookup culture, apparently, and it's like every time I talk to someone, it's like, hey, so what you guys did? It's like, oh, we hooked up, I had sex the first night. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Really?
Like, yeah.
You've heard that? Oh, wow.
That's a common story today. That's a very common story today. And it's like, they don't even talk on the phone. Like there's no, it goes from 0 to 60. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. When did that become a thing? But apparently that's been a thing for like a number of years now. And that's
the norm.
Yeah, it's the norm, but it's so foreign to me because, like I said, my only experiences in the past have been, you talk to somebody for 2 weeks, then you finally meet for coffee, and then maybe you hit it off, maybe not. And then if you hit it off, then you have a second date, and then a third date, And then at some point, what I found out was happening was that these women were dating other men. So they're playing the field on the system, And me, I was only focused on one person at a time, Like if it didn't work out with girl A, then I okay, let's find girl B. Where with them, it's like, oh, they're having dates with guys A, B, and C, and D, and they're just finding their best option, and they would cancel out the rest,
Well, isn't that what guys do too? I mean,
yeah, but I'm just speaking for
they're
myself.
known for
though.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
I know.
speaking,
I took a little offense there. Can you tell? Like,
no. No, trust me. Everybody does that. But that's just my story. That's just, I mean, I don't focus on, I'm not out there playing the field and saying, hey, I need 20 options. It's like, no, give me one good one,
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to find another one. Like start from scratch again, So, but anyways, it was, never a weird one. It just became, like I was younger. So at that point, the mentality of these women were like, I want marriage, a car, a fancy house, white picket fence, 3.5 kids, and a dog now, and it's like, well, okay, I'm still developing my career. I'm still in school, what I'm saying? So it was always like, I took it like, okay, well, they want Prince Charming here and now. And it's like, that's not who I am. And it's like, they don't see I'm working on the future, what I'm saying? They don't care about that. But but it's always funny because they were never the types that had that themselves. So it's just something they wanted, and like it wasn't like I didn't have that girl. Like to me, if a girl had nothing, it didn't matter. If she had a career, that's great. If she did not, that's great. If she had nothing, that's great. If she was super wealthy, that's great. It didn't matter to me,
Yeah.
But status,
you were looking for something with substance.
Exactly. Substance. Yeah. Substance was important to me. And that's the thing. That's what really bummed me out. And that's why I kind of stopped. I'm kind of like, this is okay. Everybody just wants the here and now thing. They're not thinking like, hey, let's just get to know each other. It's like, no, that wasn't even a part of it. It was more like, what can you do for me now? What do you have to offer for me now? And it's just like, okay, I get it. That's perfectly fine because everybody has their own preferences, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just like I always was under the impression that it's like, hey, I'm still developing my career, my life. Like, how about we get to know, how about we date? And for whatever reason, that just never went that way. So I'm just kind of like, okay, this is where I stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I can tell you about my personal like dating experience. So I didn't really date like get into the dating scene until I was like 26
Why
ish.
why so late?
I met my first boyfriend, my first love, when I was 17 at my cousin's wedding.
Oh wow.
And I was done. I mean, if he would have married me and had kids, I would have been married with kids right now.
So
And
no, I was gonna say that sounds like a perfect match.
it wasn't. We were really young, and I think you hear a lot of these stories as the people are super young, don't know what to do with that love,
Right.
and you're trying to find who you are. So we were very volatile. I mean, we would fight, and it was pretty bad. And when I say fight, nothing physical. It was just like, you know, I had a mouth, and I've learned a lot from that. I'm a lot more calmer now.
Right.
But so what I'm getting at is that then I started nursing school, and I think the independence that came with it, I don't think he necessarily liked it. So then he would say, "Oh, you've changed." Long story short, we finally cut it. And then I started dating for the first time as a 26-year-old woman,
Wow.
or 25, I can't remember, but it was tough on me because while my friends were all dating random people all the time, and I was with the same person.
Right.
So it was pretty interesting for me because I kind of knew what I wanted. And so I did meet a lot of weirdos, and it was just crazy times.
So I want to hear about some of these weirdo stories though. Like this is online, right?
Online, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I did get set up with a few people. I myself am also looking for a substance, but I'm going to be honest, I really am attracted to a certain type of look, I guess,
Right.
that I didn't realize until recently. And so sometimes I would go on dates and, they fit the physical thing, but I couldn't get any conversation out of them. And I would be like, ugh, no.
Right.
And then my problem with that was that then because I couldn't get the conversations I wanted out of them, then they started to pursue me more and they would annoy me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, no.
That's funny.
But when I did do the Match.com, one of my friends had told me that she thought I was too picky. And she's like, maybe try this website. I said, okay. So I signed up. And so I went out with this one guy who rolled up. We were in West LA. He came up in his nice Mercedes. And I was like, oh, okay, he's probably snobby, right? I'm already
Right.
judging him.
Right.
And he was older. I think he was in his 40s. And so I was in my, mid 20s by then, I think. And he started asking me questions. And I think right off the bat, I could tell, like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to go out with this guy again. But then he asked me what I did. And I said, oh, I'm a hospice nurse. And he was like, oh, wow, that's such a fucking depressing job, he told me.
Oh, geez. Wow.
So I was like, just nodding. And then he told me, I'm never going to die. And he's fucking serious. He went on a 20-minute rant about how he feels that scientifically we are at the cusp of freezing our bodies. His goal was to get his body frozen. And, he, based on the car that he rolled up with, he might have the funds to do so.
Holy shit, you were dating Elon Musk.
Oh, God, no. But he wanted to freeze his body.
Sounds like him.
Basically.
Yeah.
And, he felt that we were at the cusp of the technology to where if he was frozen for a good 10 years, they could revive him.
Right.
And he would be able to live forever.
Wow.
And I'm giving you the paraphrase version of it. He went on a rant about like 20 minutes. And I'm literally sitting there just looking at him, thinking about like, well, this is depressing, like here I am listening to my friend's advice, getting out there, and this is what I fucking meet up with.
Right. That's funny.
So yeah, that was horrible. Never went out with him again. I think I blocked his number probably. I was like,
funny.
no. Yeah, no, I would have remembered if it was Elon Musk. He did not look like him.
That's
yeah.
funny. You're like, he showed up in a super flashy futuristic car talking about freezing his brain. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like Elon Musk.
No, and he was so passionate about it,
Right.
That it was kind of creepy,
Think about it. He could have been a billionaire by now.
Oh, seriously. I'm okay with it though. I just want a normal person.
Oh, that's funny. Too funny.
Yeah, so there was that. I think that was by far the weirdest one where I was like, wow, I need to get the F out of here. Like, this guy's crazy. He's going to try to freeze my body.
Yeah, for sure.
You swear you have no stories to tell?
I do, but I mean, I'll have to tell you like off the mic, like some other time, because man, they are juicy and super rated R, but they're funny as hell. But unfortunately, yeah, I have to keep it PG here. So
Now, going back to the whole dating, do you think you date a certain type of person?
no, and
Have you noticed any tendencies on your part?
no, and here's the funny thing though, I can show you a list of friends that will point to me and say, "You date the models. You date the blonde, blue eye, 5'8", 9, 10 models," and I'm like, "Where are you getting this?" Now I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, okay? I did photography for a long time, right? I did a lot of model photography and amongst other stuff, right? So I photographed people for many years. And I still do on occasion, when I'm not super busy, when I get motivated and I find somebody I want to work with. Super rare, but I still do it once in a while. But my friends would see the clientele, right? And mind you, they could not separate the word client from that and me. They would always think that, oh, she's hot, So that somehow evolved into, oh, that's my type, right? So I would always get criticized. Yeah, you're so fucking picky. Like, that's your type. Like, you only date that girl, whatever. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Stop. Okay? Let's backtrack. Let's look at all my exes, okay? Let's see who I've dated, okay? Now, I'm not going to go into names or anything, but I will tell you that...
Names. We want names. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I'll show you that, one girl was Hungarian, 5'1", short, okay? Brown hair.
I'm 5'2". I'm short.
You're not short. But 5'1", okay, tiny girl, right? 5'8", African American girl, track star, okay. 6 foot tall, Midwestern girl from the farm. I don't know, somewhere in Nebraska, whatever. Okay. Latina girl, 5'4", okay, dark hair. Let me see what else.
You're all over the spectrum.
Yes, that's my point. That's exactly my conclusion right there. That's my point. So, but somehow my friends forget about all that. All they care about is, oh, who I've worked with. Because mind you, they would see my portfolio, they'd see pictures, right? So for whatever stupid reason, they associate that, oh, this hot girl you're photographing, that's who you date. And I'm like, no, because I can be surrounded by hot girls, whether they're friends, clients, or acquaintances, whatever. It's not necessarily who I date. You know what I'm saying? I don't, like, looks are always important. I don't care. People that say looks are not important, that's not true. There's always got to be some physical attraction, right?
Yeah, you have to have some sort.
Yeah,
to initiate. Yeah,
exactly. You got to be into something, right? You got to have some kind of like type, right? And my type is not perfection. My type is personality. Like a girl who's 5'2", who's young, beautiful, fair skin, red hair, whatever, who's beautiful.
Oh my God, are you describing me?
I am.
Oh
yes.
God,
I totally am. But she could capture my attention, right? And then I'm like, oh, she's cute. But then she opens her mouth and then you realize, holy damn, she's charming. She's intelligent. She's smart. She has a lot of things to say. She has a conversation. She has a career. She's very down to earth, very grounded. She's caring. Like you know what I'm saying? Then it becomes like, that's who I want to date. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, that's how it goes from point A to point B to point C with me. It's like, so it's not just because, trust me, I can show you a roster of women that I know that are perfect models. Like, there's not a thing wrong with them, right? And they have, contracts with the modeling agencies, and you'll see them on billboards, for, jeans and all that stuff, and makeup and hair and all that, and commercials. But it means nothing, because I'll also show you the real side of them, where some of them are dumb as a rock, and some of them have nothing to say, and some of them care about their broken nail, and that's the end of the world to them, And some of them can't even open a can to feed themselves, Like they'll die of starvation because they don't know left from right, I mean, it's kind of comical in that sense, you know?
Well, in their defense, I'm not comparing myself to a model by no means, but I only started doing my own laundry till I was like 30. No, wait. When I say doing I would do mine, but my mom would buy the things. The, oh, I'm
Right.
not, the things,
Right.
the detergent.
The
So
detergents.
when so I didn't realize I was just using fabric softener to wash my clothes
Right.
this whole time. And then I realized, and I was like, wow, someone else would have dumped me just off of that. You know that?
That is funny.
No,
I
it's
actually,
kind of sad, actually.
no, but actually, I actually dated a girl like that before. Actually,
Really?
yeah, and this is crazy. This girl, this girl was a former model. Okay, this is the weird part, but that's not the part that attracted me to her. The part that attracted me to her was that she had a photographic memory. Now, let me tell you how rare that is. Okay. Now, I am in school struggling, taking physics with labs, biochemistry with labs, chemistry with labs, calculus, differential equations, all these stupid hard classes, right? And I'm killing myself, okay? Now, here's a girl that she could flip through my books, right? And read 6 chapters in a couple minutes, and she could tell me what's on page 722.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like, mind you, she wasted her whole career. She could be anything and do anything in life with this power, okay? And instead, she picked like a career where she does the least amount of work, the least amount of thinking, and I'm not going to say what that is, but let's just say that, you know, it's just so like heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, I would kill to have that kind of power, you know? It would make my career
Brain power.
so much interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could blow people's minds. I could make new discoveries, you know, but
So do you feel like you're judgmental?
no,
No.
I feel like everybody's different and everybody has something to offer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for example, hey, you know, these girls that are perfect and beautiful and you know, don't have much but their looks, they have, you know, they can offer some guy something. I don't know what they're going to offer to them. I mean, some guys just want trophy wives, you know, they want arm candy, you know, and they want to make
Yeah.
beautiful babies, you know, with these women. And that's fine. But it's like,
Yeah.
to me, that's not my ideal of dating or finding a mate or a girlfriend or, you know, wife, you
Yeah.
know, it's like, that's, you know, there's more to life than that, you know, especially,
Yeah.
you know, in times like these where you start to realize it's like, man, we're all really relying on our friends just to, you know, stay happy, stay sane. Very few of us are dating, if any, because, you know, the few that are probably doing it online virtually, you know, but
Yeah.
most of us are not,
Yeah.
you know.
So I can speak for myself, based on my dating experience. I could never be a trophy wife because I don't listen. 2, I'm weird, right?
You're weird.
I have a strong personality, talk a lot, and, you know, the biggest thing is I don't listen. Like, I
What-
do what I want. So I definitely could never be a trophy wife. What I have noticed is that throughout the years, you know, I told you I started dating at like 26, where I actually started doing the sit down and meet people.
right.
I hate that. I hate the let's have dinner, you know, that whole where do you want to meet and ask each other questions. What I've learned that the people that I've dated more than 2 or 3 dates were people that I met through friends, or, you know, it was almost like a gradual conversation.
Right.
I just hate that, like, hey, you know, let's move this to dinner. We're going to meet dinner, have drinks. Like that for some reason doesn't work for me. And so, you know, that's why I don't like, maybe that's why I don't like the app stuff, is because that tends to be the gradual thing that people do.
Used to do.
Used to do. Well, obviously
Right.
with quarantine, but I've come to learn that I don't like that formal dating scene at all. I just like that natural type of progression.
Right.
The 3 relationships that I've had, where I can genuinely say I fell in love with them, I pursued them. which is so weird. Now that I'm saying it out loud.
Why is
Like,
that
yeah.
weird though? Why is it weird?
Well, no, because now I'm like, I've noticed that the three relationships I had, I was a pursuer. And another thing that I've been told is that I grow on people. So the more they talk to me, I grow on them. My little annoyances, they think are cute for some reason.
Right.
Although some people might find them annoying, but I'm just not cut out for that normal structured dating scene. And that's one thing that I've learned. I detest it.
So then what's the, like, what, if you were to start dating today again, for example, like what's the ideal meetup for the first time to get to know someone?
Ooh, I don't know. Because my first boyfriend, I met him at my friend's wedding, my cousin's wedding, excuse me. And I went for it. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, no. You mean like what you're asking is like where if I'm meeting someone for the first time,
Yeah.
even if I pursued it?
Yeah, if you pursued it or not, or you meet somebody new and they're like, okay, like, hey, let's meet up. What's the ideal situation for you? Not the perfect. I'm not talking about not the perfect date, but what's like the ideal first meetup date situation for you? Because you're saying dinner and drinks are not the thing. So
No,
what is
I'll
the?
probably do coffee and let's walk.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. If I were to choose, it's like let's grab some coffee and let's walk and talk and stuff.
That's funny. Yeah, I like that because
Yeah.
I mean that would be my move too because I think I think it's a good icebreaker
Mm-hmm.
because coffee is so casual and it's just easy to just you know meet at some coffee shop, your favorite place, or some unique situation set up, and then go for a walk, whether it's the neighborhood or a park or the beach. It's like it's a good way to break the ice and just have long good conversations.
Conversations.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that reminds me of. Did you ever see the trilogy of movies by Richard Linklater? Called the first one is called Before Sunset, and then Before Sunrise, and then Before Midnight.
No, I haven't.
I'm giving you homework. You got to watch those three movies.
I'm gonna watch.
It stars Ethan Hawke
Mm-hmm.
and French actress Julie Delpy. In the first movie, they meet on I believe they meet on a train somewhere in Europe, right? I can't remember the country. And he decides to take a chance and get off the train with her, and they take a walk throughout that country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because he says, he goes, well, my plane leaves in the morning, whatever. So the movie's called Before Sunrise. So the entire movie, they're walking in real time throughout the city at night. So
Wow.
they're getting to know each
One
other.
take.
Well, it's not exactly one take real time, but in a sense that it was one evening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're out walking for the night throughout the early hours of the morning, and then they're getting to know each other. This is classic dating. This is like getting to know each other like in a foreign country with a stranger, but it's really effective. It's really nice because not only are you getting two people and their chemistry come together, but you're seeing the nice scenics of that country. I can't remember the country. It's driving me nuts. And get this, the second movie, Before Sunset, okay? It takes place 10 years exactly after the first movie. And they actually filmed it in real life 10 years after the first movie.
Oh wow.
And this time they're in Paris. And he's a writer, a successful writer, and she has a past that where I think she got married and had a kid, or maybe she got married, I think, not no kids. He had a kid or something. But anyways, they
Mm-hmm.
reunite again in Paris, and they spend the whole day now walking around Paris. So it's like a love letter to Paris, because now you're seeing everything in France, and once
Yeah.
again getting to know each other, And the third movie is
Yeah.
called Before Midnight, but that's a whole. The third movie is now. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a little bit different than the first two, but it keeps the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep watching those movies because those are nice dates.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Two strangers go on a walk. Think about it. And they're having conversations which start off like, oh, like, what are you into? What do you like? This, and then it gets really passionate where they might hate each other at one point in the conversation in the middle of the night, right? Or the middle of the day. Or it gets really sensitive. Like one of the characters
Mm-hmm.
breaks down and is crying, whatever. And mind you, they're walking this entire time, or they sit at a coffee shop for a few minutes, or they go somewhere else. So it's a really excellent way, like, to get to know somebody. And every time I refer back to that movie, and I say, man, those are really perfect dates. Not because it was like the perfect fairy tale date, because it's not, you know, spoiler alert, there's like some tragedies in their life and you get to know and find out about them, but the thing is, it's real life, it's real connections, it's real conversations, you know. So that's why I always
Yeah.
recommend those movies. I'm like, check out those movies, they're really fun in terms of dating. It's a really fun way to do it, you know.
Yeah. So what's your take on I guess love at first sight and, you know, when people the lust phase, I guess. When you see people that are like totally obsessed with each other
Hmm.
and then shit hits the fan 6 months later and they hate each other or they realize they're both crazy. Versus those that fall in love over time, slowly. I mean, there's no right or wrong. I've known people who have were crazy for each other from day one and they're still married.
Right.
But what do you think it is as far as when it doesn't work out for some people?
I like to refer to that as, you know, the tale as old as time, you know, because it's lust is very common. People get infatuated with somebody, just, you know, it's instant. I don't want to call it love because love is a strong word. And if I do refer to it as love, you know, I'll just, you know, say it's puppy love because you really don't know the person, right? How can you truly be in love with something you don't know, right? But lust, you can, because lust, you know, can be derived from the thoughts of, okay, well, here's somebody who's attractive. Like, fuck, I think she's hot. You know, she's beautiful. I love her voice. I love the way she, you know, she just, I love the way she walks. I love the way she dresses. I love how nice she is, how comforting. I love how she cares. I love, you know, and then you get so sucked in, right? And you're not really thinking objectively at this point. You're just like, man, I want her, you know? And whether you want her physically, sexually, of course you want her, you just want her, right? But then you also, you know, develop these feelings of like, you know, I'm in love, and it's like, well, it's not really love because you don't know this person. But it's common, you know, as it happened to me. Yeah, it's happened to me, you know. But when I was younger, and of course, you know, you find out later that, you know, once you get to know somebody, it's like maybe it's not the person who you wish you had in your mind, you know.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
why,
like we build these people to be a certain way based on how we met them.
right?
And then when they're not meeting our expectations, then people are turned off
Yeah, it becomes
by it.
tragedy. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna reference a really good movie by Derek Sanfrance called Blue Valentine. You ever seen that movie?
No.
With a oh my gosh, so romantic you
God,
are,
I
huh?
haven't seen any of these.
Homework for you, Mary. Homework. It stars Ryan Gosling
Oof.
and
Yes.
Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams was married to Heath Ledger when he died. Remember, tragically, when he,
Yeah.
you know, the Dark Knight and all that. But this
Yeah.
movie was made a low budget indie movie, but it's a great movie that is about a couple. Okay, and they flashback. So the movie starts when they're older and have a daughter. They're married, right? And they flash back to when they met, like in the early 20s. So they go from the early 20s or 20s into the 30s, right? For example. So the story keeps flashing back and forth. And it's one of those things where Ryan Gosling was in love with this girl, Michelle Williams, like completely in love. Like he wanted her. He was going to do anything and everything to get to know her to the point where he's going to marry her. Okay. And she struggled with that because they show you her dark issues that she's going through, and in her mind, maybe, you know, she's thinking maybe, you know, that I'm not worthy because of these things that have happened to me. It's like, you know, when you tell somebody, and this is common for me, when you compliment somebody and it's a sincere compliment, and you say, hey, you look beautiful, and they're like, thanks, but I look like shit, you know. And it's like they can't take a compliment kind of deal, you know,
Yeah.
which drives me nuts, by the way. But that's like her character. Like she just can't get into him, right? And then it flashes back to present day where they're struggling in this marriage. Like the marriage is not that great. In his mind, it's great because he got exactly what he wanted. He got her. He's madly in love with her. He got a daughter. He's madly in love with his daughter. And she's not there, you know? Like there's something
Yeah.
not right. But it flashes
Right.
back and forth. And, you know, at one point when they're younger, she realizes that he does care for me. Like I am in love with this man, and this, you know, this guy in his 20s who he's going to do anything for me. Like I am going to give up whatever I got going on. I am going to go with him. And she does. but she ends up not being happy for whatever reason, you know? It's a crazy story about this movie.
She settled.
It's like she settled. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he won the prize because he was so madly in love with her, but she settled. The crazy thing about this story is that this is the true life story of director Derek Cianfrance of what happened to him.
Oh, wow.
So this is like there are elements of what happened between him and his wife and how the relationship was dissolving. And then the funny thing is he writes the movie and he wins a prize of $1 million to make the movie. And he says, I need 2 actors to make this movie, and I want Ryan Gosling, which he said yes. I want Michelle Williams, which she said yes, but Heath Ledger had just died. So he's like, look, I want you for this movie. Take all the time in the world. When you're ready, I want you back to do this movie. So I think he waited like a year and a half or something to make the movie. And it turns out that, you know, a movie comes out. I went to the theater to go see it at midnight. Okay. I usually go alone because I love seeing movies alone. And I watched this movie at midnight. Movie ends at 2 a.m. I'm walking out of the theater and I felt like a bus hit me. And I'm like, why do I feel so drained, like emotionally drained, you know? And then I realized I love this movie because this movie is telling you how it really is, you know, you know, people say, oh, the honeymoon phase, you know?
Yeah.
This movie is going to show you the honeymoon phase and it's going to say, hey, this is what can happen after, you know? Yeah. And it's scary, right? It's scary because it's like, okay. And then that's when I realized, man, this is a movie, like seriously, I bought like copies of the movie and to like these great girlfriends of mine, like not girl, you know, friends of mine, female friends, girlfriends. I would be like, hey, watch this movie. Before you think about moving in with this guy or saying yes to proposal, watch this movie. I want you to understand something, you know, because they're, you know, young and dumb, but, you know, they're my friends, right? I care about them, you know? And I realized the movie had a great message. And then the cool thing about this movie is what you find out that the movie is only 3 days in their relationship. That's it. So meaning that the bad stuff you see in present day is only one long weekend. So it does not tell you the full story.
Right.
So there is an actual happier story, happier ending. All you're seeing is the 3 bad days. That's all.
Interesting.
Because like I said,
have to look into it.
Yeah, because like, you know, the director and his wife, they're still happily married. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where, you know, he's just showing you that, hey, things can be perfect, but they can also go bad. But it does not say that the entire 10, 20 years of being married is bad. It's just telling you that, hey, things are not always perfect. That's all.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look into that movie. I haven't seen it, although I have seen it around, so I'll probably add that to my list of things to watch.
Homework assignment.
Yes. Homework. Check.
That's funny.
Have you ever turned anybody down?
I have. But for the wrong, I mean, for the right reasons, but also for the wrong time, bad timing.
Bad timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the right reasons, trust me.
You don't have to go into it. I was just wondering.
No. I mean, I'll tell you because let's just say they're married.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, look, I'm sorry, but for whatever reason, it's it's kind of a full circle thing. It's like you date somebody one day, right? And then they find every excuse to say, well, you know, you're not exactly the person I'm looking for, you know, whatever. They move on, right? Perfectly fine, because we all have our own preferences, right? We all have our own thing, our own person we're looking for, you know, whatever. And then it circles back to 5-10 years later, and then it's like, you know, it should be you that I should be, you know, it should be you that I'm married to. It should be you to be the father of my kids. And it's like why me? Why now? It's like it didn't work out, you know, in this point in time, and then we just ended up as friends, right? Casual, distant friends, whatever. And while you dated, got married, etc., had kids, and then now you're saying that it should have been me. It's like, well, you didn't think it was me the first time, so why should it be me now? Like what? Like I didn't change. I'm still the same person I am. You know, all you did is maybe married the wrong person for the wrong reasons, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the only, I mean, honestly, that's the only time I had to say no, was because they were ready, and sadly not once, but twice. They were ready to give up their lives. Like, they were seriously like, I'm going to leave him. Like, I'll leave him for you. Like, what? And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, no. You know, it's like, if you're not happy, you deal with it your own way. Like, but I'm not going to be the reason why you break up and come to me. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, weirdly enough, that's the only times I had to say no.
Yeah.
I
So the
honestly,
timing was off.
timing was off and situation was just not right. But otherwise, I mean, I'll give anybody a chance if I feel a connection, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't feel a connection, because there've been times where I just didn't quite. So I'm just like, I can't pursue this. You know, I can't even.
Yeah.
I can't even get to the point where I have to tell them no. You know, I just have to not get there. You know.
Yeah. See, I don't believe that timing is, when people have said like timing's off. I've heard it maybe twice or three times in my lifetime. I've now believe as I'm older that it's either gonna be or it's not. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
but I just, for me at least, in the way I see things, it's either gonna be or it's not. And so I don't know. For some people, they might say timing's off. I think if it's gonna be, the timing is nothing. Is gonna be.
Right.
So, but yeah, there are people that you will have connections with that might stem through the years, right?
Right.
Where you will always be like, there's always going to be something between us, like some sort of connection, you know, that only you and I understand. No one else does, but the timing's never going to be right. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah.
I do remember this is probably getting off track, but I do remember where I went on a date with a guy who, on the second date, you know, I was attracted to him and I was like, okay, you know, I'm going to go out, and he invited me over. I'm going on a completely different turn here now. And he was making steak and everything, and he went in to kiss me, and I literally did like a full on like Matrix duck. I was like, and it didn't end well.
Oh no.
Because prior to that, I was attracted, and I was there because I wanted to be.
What
I
happened?
didn't realize.
What happened? What changed?
That's what I was trying to tell my girlfriends, is that, you know, I was attracted to him. You know what I mean? I enjoyed the first date. So for some reason, guys don't, when I go on dates with guys, they don't go for kisses on the first date. So I'm having a conversation, and, you know, I hope I'm giving off that vibe, like, don't even try it. But this time I went again, and again, he was so nice. And I again went with the intentions that I'm attracted to him. I like him. Right. But I don't know what happened, that when he went in for the kiss, I totally, like, it wasn't even like a little like, ooh, like, you know, moving my head aside. I did the whole back. I put my whole upper body backwards. And it was so embarrassing.
Wow.
That was the end of the night. He escorted me out because he was like, well, this is awkward.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But
And
see,
I remember having the conversations with my girlfriends, and I was like, I don't know why I did that. I mean, prior to that moment, I was feeling him. So I don't know. Like, to this day, I can't explain it.
okay, but
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but there is an explanation. Because
Is there?
Yes, there is, because there was a catalyst. So this, you know, you're telling me this is somebody you're attracted to, okay? And clearly, you went over his place, you're attracted to him. Possibly something could happen, which could just been a good night kiss, right? You know, but something happened. You're watching him cook. Something happened. There was a catalyst. There was a moment. Something he said, something he did, or something he was wearing is what triggered. Like, you're like, you know, you might have thought like, holy shit, that reminds me of my dad, or like, oh damn, you know, he likes to kick cats, you know, or oh damn, he's racist. You know what I'm saying? Something he said triggered that, because
Reaction.
yeah, you do not just turn off instantly. Like, you don't go from, oh man, I want this guy, to like, Yeah, good night, bye, this is awkward.
Well, no, he told me that after I did that, and
Well,
he
but yeah, but
escorted me out.
that's what I'm saying though. It's like you don't get there without something happening.
Yeah.
So in your
I need to
mind,
reevaluate what happened that night to see
yeah,
what it was that
I
triggered it. But I
guarantee you
agree
that
with you.
if you look deeper, you will have found it. And it could be anything. It could be like a episode of Seinfeld where like, Seinfeld always ends up dating some random girl that's just weird for some reason or another. It could be like that, It's like, fuck, he had these shoes that remind me of whatever, or
Yeah.
oh man, he had pink socks on, or like something weird, right? Or maybe you saw a photo on the wall of something that just was so bad or silly, or but I guarantee you something happened. Like it wasn't you, it was something you saw, and maybe you buried it subconsciously, all these
Because I felt
years.
so bad, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it
That's so
happens. That
funny.
happens, and that's like the frightening moment about dating, because it's like everybody puts on their game face, right? Everybody's like, girls are like, look at me, I look hot, look perfect, and guys are like, hey, look at me, I look handsome, look, everything's cool, and then it's like one thing a guy says can just ruin the whole thing, or one thing a girl says can ruin the whole thing.
Yeah. You mentioned something, and that was about like something. I don't want to date someone like my dad.
Yeah,
And I can say that a lot of I guess I love my dad. I love him to death.
right,
But growing up, there were certain things that I don't want in a man.
right,
My dad, and he's not so much proud to say, but he's like a recovering alcoholic, and he has a very strong personality. So my thought process is that anything that resembles my father, I tend to, with time, kind of be like, no, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
right.
That's a whole nother episode, though. We'll call it daddy issues, daddy or mommy issues.
Jesus. Wow.
But when you said that, it really did resonate with me. But that's not the reason I ducked, and I'm going to try to figure that out and see if I can remember it, because I might have buried it. But definitely, it was the most awkward end to a date where he was like, "Yeah, this is awkward. It's not going to work out. Let me escort you out." Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that it had to end that way, because you're probably thinking like, what happened? Like I wanted this guy. What happened? But
yeah, well,
I'm
I didn't think
telling
that
you,
that long. It was funny when I told my girlfriends. They were laughing and they were like, "What? Why would you do that?" I was like, and it was more like, I don't know why. Like, I just did it. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Poor guy.
Yeah, no, but it happens though. It's in, you can even chalk that up to like the getting to know each other phase in any part of dating. Even if you meet somebody for coffee or whatever, and they
Yeah.
say one thing, and then you're like, yeah, I'm over it, and
Yeah.
then you're kind of like,
It's crazy. You do have a point. Someone can say something where you're just like, yeah, no, this isn't going to go anywhere.
yeah,
Yeah. I've been there. I'm sure I've turned people off too. Because I have such a, like, I talk a lot. So I'm sure there were people who were like, yeah, this girl, no, cut her off. I'm like, I'm
right.
out of here. I'm
Oh
out
my
of here.
god, that's funny.
Well, you have to, think of dating as a funny thing, I guess, in order to like not dwell on it. What I have promised my girlfriends is that after this whole COVID thing is done, I'm going to go out there and date.
Nice.
So I'm hoping they forget I ever said that and see if they get on me again.
Of course they will. That's what girlfriends do. Especially the ones that are married or have fiancés or boyfriends. They're like, hey, you're single, you got to get out there, whatever. And I'm just like,
Yeah. Actually, I've noticed that the older we've gotten, that conversations have been like dramatically like cut. Like a lot of friends don't say that as much. There's like one or two that do, but a lot of them are like, girl, stay single.
Yeah.
Don't do it,
yeah,
girl.
yep. That's common. It's funny. I go to about yearly like family reunions from my mom's side of the family, and and I'm actually myself and my younger sister are the only two that are single in the whole family, believe it or not. And big family too, by the way. And all we hear is like, dude, you single? Like, yeah, I'm still, I'm like, I date once in a while, this and this, whatever. And like, yeah, don't get married, man. Don't do it. Just don't, it's hard. Don't do it. And it's partly funny. Like I have a good laugh and they laugh too, but then partly there's a lot of truth to it. And it's not because life is hard or whatever. It's because they didn't think through and maybe they didn't marry the perfect person for them, you know? And with that just came, 10 years or 20 years of relationship problems that they're still working through, you know? And, what I usually conclude when I think of those kind of things, I keep thinking of like, look, I always tell people, don't look for, Mrs. Perfect or Mr. Perfect. Look for somebody who's perfect for you. Does it mean that, he's a perfect looking guy, wealthy, career, this and this? No. Look for the person who's perfect for you, to your preferences, to what you want, to what you like, to what's realistic, to what, to the person who's going to be there for you, to understand you, to listen to you, to be patient, with you. That's the perfect person, not the looks and money,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
But I would like to know, Mary, is what have you learned from dating?
I've learned a lot about myself with the dating process, and although I don't have, kind of like what you alluded to earlier in the episode of like people who want all these things, long list. I don't necessarily want a big list. There has to be somewhat of a connection for me to even entertain more get-togethers. I don't like what I've learned is I don't like feeling pressured. I like doing things on my terms.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing.
Well, no, because sometimes I feel like people, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't want to come off as selfish, but I don't know. Now, see, you're making me think.
No, because see, the ultimate goal in life is to be happy, right? Mm-hmm. And, there's all these sayings that say, if you can't be happy with you, I'll find a way to be happy by myself, and it's like, whichever way you want to look at it. But the point is like, if you don't, if people are going to pressure you into things and you fall into it, it's like, did you really do it because you wanted to, or did you do it because your friends and family told you to, or because a ticking, clock told you, well, you're this old, you got to be doing this by now, and it's just like, It's like, okay, well, go ahead and do it then. But then remember, I'm going to show you examples of people that did it early on because they fell into the pressure and they're not happy,
Yeah. And I myself know people that are like that, but maybe they weren't pressured. It's just the way it happened.
Right.
But I was talking to someone, and I can't remember who, but I'm 36 and I got out of a relationship like a year and a half ago, and I'm not in a rush at this point.
Right.
And what I guess from dating, having several relationships and going on dates, I realized that, in my 20s, I wanted to meet the one.
Right.
It's not about that now at this age, and so I'm more focused on me. But when I say focused on me, it's not like it's just me. It's gonna happen naturally. I just feel like it has to happen naturally. And when it's meant to be, I'm not gonna put up a fight, if that makes sense.
Right.
As before, I felt like I was forcing myself to date, and I may have hurt a few people in the process. This is me comparing myself to my 30s to 20s.
Right.
So I've learned that, I'm not the type of person that has to be out there dating like everybody else, because I'm not trying to find the one, someone to complete me.
Right.
Although I'm not saying that I don't miss having that person, that relationship, because I think in the end, we all want to have that, right?
Right.
But it's not my priority. And so as opposed to my 20s, it was my priority. Like, that's what I wanted, was to meet the one. And so I feel like it's bit me in the ass and I just don't want to deal with it. But I just don't want to I just want it to happen naturally. And I'm a firm believer that life puts the right people when they're supposed to be there in your life. And so it'll happen. When? I don't know, but it'll happen.
Yeah. I'm a believer in that too. Like, it's just, I'm not, I don't feel pressure, about any of that stuff. Like, like you said, back in the 20s, same thing for me. Back in my 20s, I had a great person in my life. I thought she was the one, honestly. And, that tragically did not work out. But, it's like, I'm not, ever since then, I have not been pressured. I've not been like, and it's got nothing to do with like hating the situation or hating on women or a situation of dealing, of dating or any of that, or the signs of the times. Like, no, it's got none of that. It's just, it's like, hey, I focus on me, and most importantly, I focus on my happiness, and
Mm-hmm.
I got myself to a point where I'm happy in everything I do. Is life perfect? No, life's not perfect. But now that I'm happy, it's like, you start asking the question, do I need somebody else? It's like, no, I don't need somebody else. But do I want somebody else? Yeah, I do want somebody else, but not to complete me, to be, a companion, to offer, everything she has to offer, and I offer everything I have to offer, to kind of complete each other in a sense of a whole new being, not yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not changing you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not half full or half empty. It's like, no, you're a whole, and that person's a whole, and now you're just coming together to have fun together as a new whole, and explore life and live life, and discoveries of love and dating and marriage and kids or whatever.
Yeah. What I can tell you is that what I do know for a fact is that the person you meet when you first meet me, and let's say I'm dating someone, I consistently the same. I don't change. Like, I'm a hot mess. I do what I want. I like my own time. I'm a big kid.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I'm very proud of, is that I'm not putting a front. This is what you get from day one. And it's consistently,
Yeah, and that's exactly that.
that's one thing I've heard from my exes.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love about you as a person, because that's one thing I've noticed about you. Trust me, you were not a hot mess when I met you. It's when I got to know you, like from moment one, it's like, wow, here's somebody who's focused. Here's somebody who's doing her career, has things in order. Has friends, family life, and all that, and it was a good observation for me, because my whole career is based on observation, and
Mm-hmm.
I do the same with people. I observe people, I test people all day long, because I'm trying to weed out who can I trust, who can I not trust, who's good for me, who's not good for me, and that's how I determine my friends, right?
Yeah.
That's who
You
becomes,
you and I are a lot alike in that sense,
yeah,
because I am very social, but I also kind of keep people close to me who I perceive from the get-go, and I've had very long friendships. And so, yeah, I'm with you on that for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And that's why
So
you and me clicked.
yes, and that's why we hang out, and that's why we're doing this thing together, and just having conversations, and but it's like you can just do your own thing, But yeah, these days the whole hookup culture is so weird to me, because
Yeah.
that's not something I did or used to do, but it seems to be the norm today, with just swiping right, swiping left, or whatever, and that's how you choose somebody. And
And again, if that's what they want, and then go for it, like,
yeah,
but it's just not maybe for us,
right,
right? Like,
exactly. It's the
yeah.
sign of the times, which is interesting,
Yeah.
because technology skips everything. Technology skipped the phone call, skipped the first date, skipped the coffee, skipped the dinner. Technology just said, for some people who are into this, technology just said, hey, you're hot, let's go have sex. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
it's also the
Yeah, but
norm. It's also the
people like
norm.
it, so.
Yeah, because those people can look at me and think, no, you're crazy. Because, and it's just like, hey, that's the sign of the times.
Yeah. I'm the great avoider. I avoid everyone. Yeah. That's how I date.
That's funny. Too funny.
But yeah, so I definitely think we could probably talk. I would love to do one. I don't know if you feel like you date a certain type because of your upbringing. I think I date a certain type because of my upbringing. So I think that would be something I would like to talk about in the future.
I don't. That's the sad thing. Because,
No? Oh, I
I
do.
don't. But like I told you, right, that I get accused of it all the time. And it's so stupid. And I'm like, why don't you look at my roster? My short
Yeah.
roster.
You're
Like,
short. My roster's short too, but I've noticed, when you were saying the heights and everything, when you were saying all the way they look, I was going through my list in my head and I was like, yeah,
Yeah, but
my
it's like,
spectrum's, my spectrum's not very colorful. It's like very typical.
but see that, but that's to your liking, right? That's
Yeah.
your preference, and that's good because
But I didn't realize it until I was comparing what you were saying to mine in my head. I was like, damn.
yeah, and it's so bizarre because to me it's like I get put in that corner and I'm like, wait a minute, my ex was from Nicaragua. This girl's African American. This girl was Mexican American. This girl was German, Armenian, and that girl, was, Italian. So tell me how there's a pattern, and they're all
Yeah.
different hair color, different skin, different physiques. Maybe this girl was in shape, maybe that one was not.
Yeah.
So I
They're all
love,
their own people.
yeah, but I love when they corner me because I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, you look at this carefully, and you tell me how I have a type. And I always say, hey, my type comes in the package. It's a package deal, because I'm not gonna judge you physically only. I'm gonna judge you on what do you have to say, what do you believe in, what's your personality like. Are you kind to your friends and family? Do it's like I'm looking at so many data points, right? Before I say, hey, I want to date this girl. Not like, oh, she's hot, I want to date her. It's like, no, that's not my thing.
Yeah. For me, I need time, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
for it to evolve. And so I have friends that are like, wow, I met this person and a week later they're in love. No, for me, it's a gradual thing.
Right.
And then when it does happen for me, which has only been 3 times in my lifetime where I felt like I loved someone, I could never understand because I also have friends who I feel have been in love 20 times
Right.
and we're the same age. And I'm like, I don't fucking get it. Like,
Right.
what am I doing wrong? Like, but it could just be my personality of avoidance and, looking for, it has to click with me for me to pursue it, for me to take it to that, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, and that's good.
maybe,
It's good that you have that, because I also know people that are tragically love addicts, for example.
oh, love addicts is the best way. One of my exes, I told him, like, we're friends, but I told him, like, I feel like this is my opinion of him. I feel like he falls in love. He's a romantic, right? But he's looking for that thing. I feel like he falls out of love quickly with his loves.
Right.
If that makes sense. But I feel like he's been in love more than some of my girlfriends. But it's because of that hopeless romantic in him. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. But but is he going from one girl to the next, to the next, to the next, being hopeless, hopelessly in love? You know what I'm saying? Because
I don't know.
that's, and I know people like that, and it's just like, what are you? It's like, what are you doing? It's like,
But they're in love every time. They're infatuated. They're in love. And so
yeah.
then you have some of us who are like, stay away as long as you can.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to open the door yet, but I
Right.
want you there.
Right.
Hold on. No.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things we can touch on, but definitely interesting to be dating. And we'll see if I do start dating and use apps after this COVID is over. Who knows? Maybe I'll be bored and do it. But
I want to keep
I like
track.
meeting. Yeah, you want to keep track?
Yeah, I want to.
I'll start a blog.
No, I want to have an Excel spreadsheet. So you're gonna tell me. You're gonna text me every time you go on a date. I want to put a data point there.
Hey, you want to do it? We can make like a scientific study, and I can tell you what I had a problem with.
Oh man, this will be a great one.
Yeah, actually now before I just thought of a guy. So this guy, because my friend had said I was very picky.
Right.
I said, oh, fine, I'm going to go out with this guy because he's nice. And, my friend says that I'm super picky. So I'm going to show her that I'm not, right? So I went out with him and he had ordered a salad. And he kept putting salt and pepper on it. And all I can think of in my head as a nurse, because he was putting so much, I was like, oh, this dude's going to die.
Stroke.
Yes, heart disease,
Right.
stroke. Like, he's so young and I'm not, no. And my girlfriend was like, see, you're looking for a problem. Like,
Yeah,
I'm that person that's
funny.
like, oh no, he put too much fucking salt on that salad.
That's
he's
funny.
going to die of a heart attack and he's going to die young. And I don't want to be there.
That's funny.
Oh my God, I'm horrible.
You are hilarious. That's who you are.
Oh, I have more stories, but for some reason I can't think of them. And that's why I don't want to date, because I see that I'm part of a problem too, where I'm picking at certain things. But I've noticed, like I told you, when there's a connection there, I don't do that.
But see, that's the thing, though. That's what makes us all humanly interesting, is that you're not perfect. I don't care what anybody
No, I'm
says.
not.
You're not
I'm
perfect,
not.
but, as I'm not perfect
By
either,
no
not even
means.
close. But the thing is, somebody's going to find your imperfections perfect for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm waiting for the person that's gonna be like, she doesn't want to talk for 8 hours and I'm okay with it.
Hey, he's out there, those guys that, they dress up like clowns and look like mimes? He's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been one of the things I've heard. It's like, like sometimes I just don't want to talk, like, but it's my way of dealing and de-stressing. And I've done that since I was a kid. I just don't want to be bothered. And it doesn't mean I don't care about the person, any less. It's just that's the way I decompartmentalize my work and everything.
Yeah,
So,
it's interesting that somebody once asked me what I thought of what would be the perfect relationship for me, or the perfect person for me, and I said, when I can find that person who on a Saturday or a Sunday or whenever, or late night, I can lay in bed with, and we could just lay there awake and not say a word to each other, but just enjoy the company, just enjoy the silence. Yeah. That's the person I want.
those are the best. Yeah. Now, also, I don't want people to think that I'm that cold or anything. It's just I love cuddling, and sometimes I'm needy. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I just like my time.
Of course.
And I don't want to be bothered, and it could be by anybody. So I avoid calls sometimes.
Right.
On purpose.
That's funny. Too funny.
But yeah, well, thank you so much for joining this conversation on dating and our dating mishaps. And
yeah,
I really, really think we should do one. Maybe you can interview me on why I am the way I am, and we can talk about my childhood.
Oh, wow. That'd be funny.
That might be too deep, so I might need to think about it, but I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. This was fun. It's always fun to talk about these things, because if we're not doing it, somebody out there is, and somebody out there is thinking, wow, that's my situation, or wow, I think the way she does, or he does. And it's just like, because we're not unique that way. There's always somebody who falls into the same pattern of thinking or doing things, and dating is interesting, especially during these times. It's like, either some relationships are going to end because of this current situation, or some of them are going to begin or become even stronger because of,
stronger. Yeah.
Because of, of how we took our time to get to know somebody, or spend that extra time to talk to somebody and just listen, or sometimes not say a word,
And I know I'm not married or anything, but to all my friends and anyone out there that's listening who's married, and, I know relationships aren't easy, but if you have someone that's like the right one, and they're the one, and you want to grow old with them, it's like total respect for that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy for you guys. I really, really am. And I hope
definitely
to have that one day. I'm just taking a non-conventional path.
Right.
And I'm okay with it.
Definitely. Good times.
Good times. So I guess we're going to end it here, and we're going to swipe left or right to end. I don't know. How does that work?
I'm going to go right.
Yeah. So I'll go the opposite way then.
Sure. Whatever that means.
That was episode 7 of the Purposely Curious podcast. Make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on social media at Purposely Curious on Instagram and at Purposely C Pod on Twitter. That's Purposely, the letter C, Pod. Until next time, you know what to do.